Let's think about our bank that we put $1,000 into. We've done this several times, and we actually are going to put it into several different banks. So we've talked about this briefly. Let's look at it in some detail. We've got one bank, we'll call it Bank A, that will give us 12% interest every year. Or another way of saying the same thing would be that we multiply by 1.12 because it's 112% every year. And Bank B gives us 6% every 6 months, or twice a year. And so another way to say that same thing is that we are going to multiply by 1.06 because it's 106% every 6 months. And we'll do one more here. Let's say we get a third bank that will give us 1% 12 times each year. And the other way we could say that is that we're going to take our money and we're going to multiply it by 101%, 1.01, every 1 month. So let's look at what happens to that money in the span of 1 year. So 1 year later, this first one, we're going to have our original $1,000, and we're going to multiply that by 1.12 to the 1 year. Since it was every year, we're going to put that as 1 year. The second one is going to be $1,000 times 1.06. Remember, we want 1 year. This is measured in months, so instead of calling it 1 year, we'll call it 12 months. And now there's a 6 on the bottom of that because it takes 6 months before we do the multiplication by 106%. So 12 over 6. Then our last one here, 1,000 times 1.01 to the, again, this is in months, so we'll change our our 1 year into 12 months, and it'll be 12 months divided by the 1 month it takes. Of course, it's divided by 1, so we don't have to write that, but it's nice to remember it's there. Let's see what the answers are in each of these cases. So, for the first one, we've got 1,000 times 1.12 raised to the first power. Now, it's first power, so we know we don't need to do that. We didn't really need a calculator on this one, but it's 1,120. I'll write those on here in just a minute. Let's just have it right there for now. 1,000 for the second one is 1,000 times 1.06 to the second power, because it's 12 divided by 6, which is 2. And we see that that one is $1,123.60. That would be 0.60. And the last one, 1,000 times 1.01 raised to the, and this time it's 12 divided by 1, so it's the 12th power. And we can see that that one's 1,126.825. Okay. So you can see what happened here. Rather than write them up, I'm just going to put them in there. 12% per year gave us this much. 6% twice a year gave us this much. 1% 12 times a year gave us this much. But why are we seeing the difference? Because 6% twice a year should be 6% the first half of the year and 6% the second half of the year, so why isn't that 12%? Why are these different? And in the same way, 1% each month is 12 times, so it seems like it should be the same as 12% over the course of a year, and yet we find it's not. But we've talked about this. The reason these are not the same is because the 6% twice a year, the second time it's 6% of a larger number because we've added in the interest from the first 6 months. Down here, it's 1%, but each month it's 1% of a larger number. So the interest starts working for us. The interest from the first month starts earning its own interest and working for us in the second month. And then both of those work in the third month, and so on and so on. And so we end up with more money. Well, if we're greedy, and of course we are, what would be even better than taking that 12% and splitting it up into 1% 12 times per year? Well, what if we did it as 0.5% 24 times per year? Let's see what that does for us. So we're going to have a new bank here that only gives us 0.5%. Whoops. That decimal point is in the wrong place. 0.5%. But it does it 24 times a year. Then our equation should be 1,000 times 1.005, 100.5%, raised to the, well, now it's 24 is our exponent, because if it does it 24 times per year, there's 24 of them in 1 year. That's our exponent. And so let's look at what that does to our answer. 1,000 times 1.005 raised to the 24th power. It's even better, isn't it? 1,126.82. Now we're at 1,127.16. Then the question I want to leave you with is, how can we make it even better yet? What's the best we could do? Keeping it at a total of 12% per year, but splitting it up into different time intervals. Twice a year, 12 times a year, 24 times a year. How many times per year should we do it in order to get the biggest answer that we possibly can?